Census selection. It's right there. It's stopwatch. Sorry. So I'm gonna move on here. All right, so we've sworn in. We did it.
I need to swear in.
Sworn in. He's gonna stay. That's right. So it's here. So it's basically one. Yeah. And else, you know, the Evans. Evans here. I got her. Okay. Thank you. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And so say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, excuse me, you can proceed.
Okay, do we have a proof of publication? Item one, which is actually not item one on the agenda, but the one for publication for Sunset Drive, 923 North E Street.
Yes, it's included in the meeting packet.
Okay, so there is a proof of publication. All right, withdrawals, postponements. Okay, is anything on the consent agenda?
There's nothing on the consent.
Okay,
We have no old business.
okay. Beautiful, good stuff, good stuff. All right, the board disclosures. Does the board, would the board like to disclose anything?
I have a conflict with item A, so when that comes up, I will be recusing myself and leaving the room for that, but I'm part of that development team.
Please disclose what your conflict is.
I'm a member of the development team.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
I also have a disclosure on item B, due to the fact that I live in this community and I will have to recuse myself on item B.
okay. Anybody else? Okay, so unfinished business. Do we
There's
have
none.
any unfinished business?
No.
None. All right, so let's get on with it. New business, it's item A. PZB project numbers 23-0140-0022 and 23-005-00020. A major site plan and conditional use permit to construct a multifamily development containing 9 dwelling units. Subject site is zone mixed use east, MUE, and the future land use designation is mixed use east, mixed use, well, MUE. Would the staff like to enlighten us a little bit on this project?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And my apologies. I don't know what happened to my voice at the moment. The item before you is a major site plan and conditional use permit to construct a multifamily development containing 9 dwelling units. Sorry, for the record, Scott Rodriguez with Planning and Zoning. The subject site is zoned mixed use east and has a future land designation of mixed use east. The site is located on the southwest corner of North E Street and 10th Avenue North and is currently vacant. Here are the existing conditions. The surrounding properties do include primarily single family and all of which are generally compatible. This is a site plan that is showing 2 stories with 9 multifamily units with the 5 units on the ground floor, 4 units on the second floor. The project is proposing 2 one-bedroom units and 7 two-bedroom units, and parking is required at 16 spaces, and 18 spaces will be provided, including some alternative spaces, including bike racks and motorcycle spaces. This is an architectural rendering. It is a contemporary architectural style. I think there's another one. Here's another look at it. Yeah, next one. And these are the architectural elevations. The project is consistent with the comprehensive plan, the strategic plan, and the city's LDRs as condition and conditional use standards. Therefore, staff is recommending approval with conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Is there anything, anything else from staff on this? Is there anything from the developer? Or any questions? Would you like to say anything?
Good evening, members. My name is Nestor Rivera. I am a City of Lakewood resident. Original moved here from Dominican Republic 2008. Moved to the City of Lakewood Beach, and I haven't moved nowhere. Do 99% of my business here on the City of Lakewood. I raised my family here. That is one of my projects that we've been working for about 2 years. And looking forward to get a project approved tonight. Been meeting with the staff many times, back and forth, taking some guidelines from them, and been very helpful on getting that project where it is. So if you guys have any question regarding this project, here to answer any question the board has. So,
Mr. Rivera, could you tell us where you live in Lakewood, your address?
1027 South Palm Way, and my office is 1106 North G Street, little 1 block away from this property.
Okay. Anything from the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Just a question for the staff. I noticed on the project description, outside of the parking, under the major site plan, that it's recommended usually that there is one egress, ingress. Is that normally for safety reasons or for emergency reasons that you recommend an ingress and an egress? I think, excuse me.
I think it's for traffic flow for interior of the site as well as, outside of the site.
Would you include emergency and like fire and then so forth also included in that?
Public Works, traffic, and also fire does review the project and provides comments. So that would include some of their suggestions and recommendations as well.
Thank you.
Would anyone from the public like to comment on this project?
I have a question. I have a question for staff and potentially the applicant as well. The minimum size for 1 bedroom square footage appears to be 600. This, as planned, it looks like the staff report is reflecting that the square footage is 512 below the minimum. There's a little asterisk there. Can you go into that a little bit and explain that?
So when the project came for the second round of comments for site plan review team, the applicant wanted to reduce the size of the 1 bedroom, and they proposed a variance. But we coordinated with them to provide a condition that they had agreed upon, which is to take those 2 units, I believe, to an efficiency square footage of 400. And they've agreed to that condition, and that condition is also reflected in the staff report.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on the board? Anybody from the public? Yes, sir.
Before the board approve that, I would like to make use on the best behalf, if it's possible. That is only one I don't know how calling one comment from planning and zoning, and it's regarding let me see, part 4 is regarding the video system on the property. I would like on the best, if it's possible, to change it to a recommendation and not a requirement for this approval.
Okay. Scott, can you explain a little more about the video system?
Um, I think staff was just recommending video security that we have applied consistently in some of the more, some of the bigger residential projects. I know it's 9 dwelling units, but this has been an item that we have added as a condition. The applicant is like asking for a possible further discussion on a possible modification of that condition.
Mhm.
So
Is it something that's been put on other projects of this size?
to my knowledge, yes, we did include it in this one as well.
Okay, and the video is for trucks coming in and out, surveillance at the entryway, at the gates, things like that?
Correct.
Okay. The board have anything to,
Are you asking not to put?
No. I will do the system probably. I just don't want to this be a requirement. I will take this as a recommendation for the project.
I think it should be required.
I think it helps.
And that's, the board can decide to keep that condition.
I guess for me, and the board could speak for themselves, it's one of the reasons I have it is that it's really not as, let's say, expensive of an amenity to have, and it's actually quite useful, okay? And I think that the video cameras and things could avoid and avert crime, different issues that you might have, accidents, things being stolen off property, people entering and exiting the buildings. So there's a reason why they put it on, right? I can't see with the cost of these things today, it being that horrible, but I don't understand why you're so way against it. But
It's not the cost.
Mhm.
It's more, we live on the Cedar Lake, we know sometimes we have those storm, the power go off. Let's
Right.
say the power go off. I have a bus stop in a corner from my building,
Right.
right? Let's say something happened there. And they come in and ask me because it's a requirement for this building to have the camera there 24/7.
Right.
But in that moment, the camera doesn't work
Hmm.
because power went off, or I don't know.
Right.
So that person can come in because it's a requirement of myself. I can get sued.
I don't know about that. I
I'm-
defer to my legal
I'm
just-
friends.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. You're worried about an adverse inference being drawn about what may have happened because the camera's there, but it's the power's out. I mean, I don't think that's a likely inference that someone could draw against you. That doesn't seem to be a very reasonable takeaway from that possible situation you're describing. And I'm not sure someone could sue you in that situation. I mean, I don't understand. I don't see very much liability there.
I'm in that business and people sue you for a lot of sin. Sin that you will say, no, that's not possible. Yes. And I just, there is a lot of other sin. We agree with everything from the staff. And believe me, I'm going to do in the security system. I just want to change that part to say, instead of say requirement, be a recommendation. That's all. I'm not asking to remove it from there.
I'm personally in favor of more security and accountability in rental units. I mean, that's fine.
There's a reason for it, and I think I mean, look, whether it's Lake Worth or Palm Beach, right? Both places have them, and they have them for good reasons. And there's good reasons why the staff puts them in. So for being sued for, I guess you can get sued for anything, right? But at the same time, if your tree goes over too much of somebody's on a neighbor's yard or something, but I believe that the security has some very good means. That's my thought.
I don't have an issue with it being in there.
It's in all the other ones.
Yeah, it's going to be there. It's just
But Nestor, what you're
some
asking
type of-
for, yeah,
Come on.
what happens is what you're asking.
I
If
mean,
it's a- if
yeah,
it's-
I
if
just
it's
asked
a-
for one scene, like,
Right,
no,
yeah.
I'm asking for the,
I know,
to change
I
the
know
whole
what you're
entire
Right.
system, it's just one letter
Mm.
on the item,
I understand.
just one
Mm.
letter. It's
Okay, anything from the public on this issue? Would we like to take a vote on this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before the board has a potential motion, is it normally, motions done for both the major site plan and the conditional use permit with the same motion? Considering that there's so much, conditional items on this.
We would basically just we would either, approve or deny both, but highlight this one and say that, he's requesting that this is the only thing that would be changed. So we would highlight that and either approve or disapprove that part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen, no lady. Excuse me. Do you have a motion?
I can do it. I move to approve with the conditions stated in the staff report. The request for the major site plan and conditional use permit requests for the project located at 923 North E Street, based upon the competent and substantial evidence provided in the staff report and the testimony at the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Easy.
Good luck.
Scott, can I see you 1 second?
Oh, this was Mike. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, moving right along, item B. PZB project number 23-009-00-001. Ordinance 2024-02. A request for residential only mixed use urban plan development, major site plan conditional use, sustainable bonus incentive program, affordable workforce housing program transfer of development rights and zoning map amendment for the project commonly referred to as Sunset Drive at 826 Sunset Drive to construct 9 townhouses, residential structures that are 2 stories at a height of total of 42 dwelling units.
One of our participants, virtual participants, if you could identify yourself on the phone. You're going to have to unmute.
Oh, my name's Jordan Rayleigh.
Okay, so I have you, Jordan. There's another participant.
That should be Giselle Rayleigh. I'm not sure if she knows how to unmute, but let me confirm with her.
Okay. So I'm going to need, if you're going to give testimony, we're going to have to swear you in before we begin with the project. So if you could get her to unmute and also to turn on her video and turn on your video as well.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me join on my computer.
Please don't make that. I see. You dropped off.
All right, just Giselle, if you can hear me, Jordan has now dropped off. If he's trying to rejoin. Thank you, Jordan. And you said Giselle?
Yeah, and we're not testifying, we're just viewing
Okay, all right.
project that's coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to mention that this is a quasi judicial hearing to hear. And I'd like to ask the board members if you have any ex parte communications or personal investigations to disclose on this matter? No. Okay. All those giving testimony, please raise your right hand and be sworn in by the board secretary, please.
Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, as you testify, say your name, address for the record, and if you represent a party, please also state who you represent. Is that clear? So give us your address and let us know if it's not you, you're representing somebody, you will give us that person's name for the record. Okay, as a preliminary matter, we need to address the request to continue the case from Murray Hills Association, Inc., presented by Scott J. Lee, Cohen Norris, Suzanne Kochi, and Nicoletta Luis and Kevin Starkley. City staff has provided the board with the information of the affected parties. Please hear from the city attorney, then Murray Hills Association, Inc., presented by Scott J. Lee, Cohen Norris, Suzanne Kochi, Siochi, and Nicoletta Lewis and Kevin Starkley, then the applicant. Is that clear? Go ahead.
All right, so the really where you are today is that there has been a request for continuance. Under the city's code, when a continuance is requested by an affected party, which those people listed have filed as affected parties, then the continuance must be granted. You all have to make that motion to continue it to a day certain, date and time certain. And so Sherry will give you the information for that when it's that time. Before you take up that motion, you can hear from the affected parties and you can take public comment on this item before you continue.
We will be hearing this later, so we're continuing this, right? All right, so it's really, I guess, up to us if we'd like to hear this at the moment or not.
No, you won't be hearing the item.
Right.
It's really
From
the
affected
request
parties
for
and-
continuance and you
Okay,
need to afford
That's what
the
it is.
affected parties and public comment an opportunity to speak today if they want to, though you can have them, everyone can come back to the, when it's to the continuance as well.
it's a little more organized in the continuance and just hear it all at one time, I believe, but. Yes. I prefer to hear it all together, and I guess we could make a motion for that, if that's what we need to do. So,
You have opened the public hearing. You need to give the public a chance, an
Okay.
opportunity to speak if they want to speak today.
Okay. Yes, sir.
knowing that they will be able to speak when it comes back for the continuance.
Right.
Sherry,
Okay,
will
so-
that date and time be just so? And that will be at at your March 6th meeting, just so everybody's aware and can note the date.
Got it. All right, so if we do open for public comment, I guess if there are people that would like to speak today, you may come up to the podium, I guess one at a time. They have 3 minutes to speak, I guess, per person. So if people would like to come up and speak, you're welcome. Yes, sir. You may come up.
Good evening. James Pellegrino, 3200 Lake Osborne Drive, Lake Worth, Florida. I'm also a resident of Murray Hills. I'm a vice president there. And to start things off, the zoning is not clear to me. It's SF7, I believe. And they want to change that. Well, my first order of business is why and for what reason would they spot zone in a single family area, SF7, to put in a rental property of 42 units? There's nothing like it in the area. We're a very sedate area, so to speak. And that's my first statement on that. Thank you.
Okay. The next person like to come up and speak?
My name is Catherine Cargill. I live at 3320 Lake Osborne Drive in Murray Hills, Lake Worth Beach. And my family has been living in Murray Hills since 2003, and I personally moved here in 2015 to take care of my parents. Every morning I'm in that pool looking up at that retaining wall that was built to hold back one little house and a bunch of trees. And if you put 42 acres on there, there goes my pool, as well as the houses that are right along that property. The runoff along would be devastating. And to call it affordable housing at $3,000 a month and $350,000 to buy, I don't know anybody that's working that could pay that. Fire ingress and egress, what if one way in is blocked for some reason? And then there's the cars. These are the ittiest, bittiest, teeniest little townhomes I've ever seen in my life. And each one has this much room for parking, no extra spots. And that beautiful residential neighborhood that I walk in every day for an hour with my cats is going to be ruined by an extra 84 cars. Because when I walk that neighborhood, everybody's got at least 2 or 3 cars. But I mostly worry about that retaining wall that he's not willing to bond. And what will happen to my community and the houses that are 5 feet away from that? That's what I worry about. Thank you. Jane Shoemaker, 3402 Cynthia Lane, apartment 201, Murray Hills. We abut the proposed Sunset property. Again, as my colleague said, it is a 4-acre lot. It is enclosed, surrounded by the community. And if you haven't, I encourage you to please drive by before the March 6th continuance meeting. That retaining wall is 14, 16 feet tall. And so far, Chris Rowley is taking no responsibility for the retaining wall that's holding back that property, which has been a farmette and or unabandoned for 50 some years. And so this greatly affects our community, and we're very concerned about that and the leverage of the property. If you're putting 2- and 3-story townhouses above an already 15-foot elevation above us, and we're 2-story condos, they're going to be looking down on us, blocking our sunset, and it's just going to be a total, possibly drastic effect on our community. We're very concerned. We're a 55 and older community. As mentioned, we're a very quiet, sedate community, and we're very concerned about
the potential of this being developed in the fashion that it's proposed.
Thank you. The next affected party. Public.
Hello, my name is Gunnar Malm. I'm at 3240 Lake Osborne Drive. I'm a resident of Murray Hills. Retired. I spent 40 years as a structural engineer, licensed in Colorado and Wisconsin. The big concern is perhaps even this rezoning is totally premature in the sense that, as one of the last people talked about, and that is the retaining wall and the impact of buildings have on that. Originally, the wall was designed for single family units as well as to retain the 14 or 16 foot height between the property and the building. But the impact of 3 and 4 story units, the weight of those on the soil is 700-800 pounds a square foot. Now, what the heck does that mean? But imagine this, as an engineer, we try to make things a little more describable and easy to understand. And that kind of loading is essentially a 8 or 9 foot increase of soil on top of that already, that property already. So instead of having a 16 foot high retaining wall, we now have the subsoil for 24, 25 feet. And you can see that that's a incredible impact on retaining wall and on the soil load itself. So the reason I come up here is not that the zoning shouldn't be considered first. Let's have a solution for all the other problems that they're going to have before we change the zoning. Thank you very much.
George Adams, 3320 Lake Osborne, also Murray Hill. Thank you for letting me speak to you this afternoon, I guess, whatever it is. To just beat again on that wall, I'd be very concerned if I were contracted to go work in that area and bring my heavy equipment in and my lull and all that, whatever else is needed to build that property, and have my employees near that wall, because I think based upon what Gunnar said earlier, I can pretty much guarantee you that that wall is going to fall down. Now, again, I am not an engineer and maybe I'm being a little dramatic about it, but I think there's definitely a real risk of that wall failing. So that's one point that I hope that you consider as you go forward. That wall is, I think it's on the order of 40 or 50 years old. So, and we don't really know the integrity of it. The other thing I'd be concerned about is the safety and health and safety and hurricane issues associated with that planned proposal, with only one egress and one entry and one exit. I think that poses a risk as well. And I'm not sure what the Lake Worth standards are for that, but I would expect that they would want to, or the fire chief would probably want to, ways of getting in and getting out. And then finally, just as more of a general concern about the zoning, I think that's the next topic here, so I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but I'm a little concerned about this as a precedent for other properties, especially the ones that are maybe between Federal and Dixie, that are pretty easy to buy up, because they're less, and they're less money. And some other developer come and start scooping up all those properties and displacing all of those people. Now, I'm getting ahead of myself. I think that's probably for the next agenda item to discuss, but that's also I'll prelude that and say I'm a little concerned about as well, where you're going to be going with that as a board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person in the public.
Bill Musgrave, 2920 Lake Osborne Drive. I'm also a member of the Board of Directors at Murray Hills. I think that one of the things that we, as residents of Lake Worth, and many of you too, admire and love about this community is the character that we've been able to maintain here for so long. compared to other large cities with large scale developments and high rises and so on and so forth. The city has done a terrific job of maintaining the character, the human scale, if you will, of Lake Worth, and that's one of the things that makes us special. It's our belief that the buildings being proposed for the Sunset property are a direct antithesis of that. As has been said, there's about a 2-story high hill between us and the proposed development. You add 3-story townhouses on top of that, and these are going to be essentially high rises staring right down on our community. Seeing all of us, walking to the swimming pool and staring into the back porches of residents who are will be abutting that development. They'll be looking back at, bicycles in the backyard of these homes. It's just going to be the lighting from there will be shining straight down onto our community if it gets built. So we believe that in keeping with the character of Lake Worth and the precedent that this historically beautiful community is always admired, that this program would not be in keeping with that. So thank you very much.
Okay, another person from the public like to speak?
Daniel Morissette, 3120 Central Lane, Unit 202, Lake Worth, Murray Hills. I'm really concerned about that retaining wall. If something happens and it starts to crack, my unit is about 10 feet from that wall. And what I'm worrying about, we're gonna end up suing each other and losing thousands of dollars just for nothing. It'll just be a loss and loss game.
Okay, thank you. Next person?
Good evening. I'm William Yates. I live at 3120 Cynthia Lane. My family's owned that unit for 20 years. My wife and I are current owners, and we've owned it for 7. I went out just yesterday with a measuring tape and found out our unit is 6 feet 4 inches from that wall. So does it pose a potential safety risk after we've heard from others, including a structural engineer? Yeah, I have a real fear about that. I also have a fear about the runoff from a property that is over 2 stories above us. And the other issues associated with blocking sunlight and changing the entire character of that area. I'm a bird watcher. Right now, my back porch faces that property. There are 100-year-old trees on that property where you can watch all manner of birds, raptors, songbirds, and others. All that's going to change. Property values. Now, what I'm going to say, I understand is hearsay because it came from my sister who was a prior owner. But when a prior developer tried to offer or came in with a proposal, he also met with her who was fighting against it and offered her 25% of what she paid for it, reminding her that once we build it, your place won't be worth anything. I don't know how valid that is, but we know it's going to impact property values. After all, this does not comport with Lake Worth Beach current zoning rules. This is, which would allow, I understand, up to 4 single-family homes there. So this is dramatically different. In terms of traffic, we already have traffic problems because of 6th Avenue and people trying to get on to going down Lake Osborne Drive and turning on to Lake Avenue. And that's only going to get worse. But if you actually, I've walked the whole neighborhood now, and if you walk around that neighborhood, you'll see it's a very quiet residential neighborhood. All of that is going to change. So anyway, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Is there someone else who would like to speak from the public?
My name is Jason Lopiccolo. I live at 2024 Collier Avenue. My concern with the project is as soon as they open that bridge, traffic's going to be backed up every morning all the way to Congress Avenue, because that's how it was before. The bridge isn't going to change anything. It's still 2 lanes each way. So when you start putting another 84 cars in this neighborhood, it's going to be impossible for us to get out. If you're heading west, you're going to get in an accident trying to get across traffic. My wife was already in an accident trying to get across traffic prior. So our whole quality of life is going to be stressed by this neighborhood. And I don't think it's fair to us as it should be houses in there like the whole rest of the community is. We don't live in Murray Hills. We live on the other side, you know, and it's just little families over there. So I think that's the way the neighborhood is meant to be. And you shouldn't put a bunch of, you know, basically rental units in there and change the whole neighborhood basically with it. You know, we walk our kids through there and this is the traffic's going to be cutting through there. It's just going to be ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have someone else from the public? Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Ciosi. I live right next to the property I abut it on the north side. I have 2 pieces of property there. And I've lived there since the 90s and it's really lovely. And I'm part of residents of Lake Osborne Heights Association Rollo. And our community Rollo has always consisted of single family homes that were built out only as single family or zoning or houses per acre. So the density of 42 rentals on 4 acres is a monumental. And it threatens the fabric of our peaceful, quiet, single family neighborhood. I recognize that something has to be built there eventually, but I have some concerns. One concern is the reported bioswale is not enough of a buffer from this very different high density use. Please consider requiring the developer to install a wall on a higher natural or a higher natural type of thing with trees or some type of natural growth like sea grapes or something to keep noise and headlights from invading my living room. The developer has, and another concern is the developer has stated that the proposed rentals are a pathway to home ownership and the rent will be based on local average. Supposedly, after 3 years of renting, the payment becomes your monthly mortgage payment with a minimum down payment required. While this may sound good on the surface, the reality is that very few people who are renting will be able to afford a minimum down payment. And the rentals will go on forever. If the developer is truly committed to having a pathway to home ownership, the board should require the developer to offer purchase option on day 1. In other words, anyone can choose to purchase or rent without having to wait 3 years. This will show the developer's commitment to home ownership. And another concern is the future HOA. The proposed development should include in the documentation bylaws. Now, when the transition of the common areas from the developer to the homeowners will occur. For example, mandatory turnover in 5 years. This timeline should be open-ended. Otherwise, we will have rental community forever. The future HOA should also have.
That was 3 minutes.
That's 3 minutes. It's your chief. Yeah, it's,
Okay, I had asked when I sent in that I was going to talk long.
yeah, I've read it and I think
Okay.
the board has read it.
All right,
Thank you
well-
very much for your participation. All right, do we have someone else in the public?
Hello, Amy Mihalik. I live at 2032 Collier Avenue. The plan development ordinance states that its intent is to create more desirable and attractive development in the city. It's important to look at the relationship of the buildings to the lot upon which it sits, to the rest of the street and to the neighborhood when you're considering an infill development. So, you know, this property, it can only be accessed via Sunset Drive, which is through a single family residential area. The proposed 42 units is too high for the limited access and too much pressure on our streets. I think I can say we don't approve of the waiver to on the density. The proposed development is also for 2-story townhouses. That 2-story height becomes 3-story height from Murray Hill's perspective, as they were saying, and that's quite imposing. And that does not fit in with the overall community scale. The developer is only giving 2 parking spots per household. The average car ownership per household in Florida is 2.3 cars. This development has no real designated guest spot parking, only street parking, which would get filled very quickly, meaning that the overflow would come onto our streets. The developer says these are intended to be dual income, affordable family homes. The reality is at $3,000 plus a month, individual rooms will get rented out under the table, as a lot of households don't fit that ideal and could not afford those prices. So this would further increase the density of people and cars quite a bit. So through multiple community meetings with the developer, the residents have expressed their concerns, and the developer has taken none of them into consideration with the site plans or offered reassurances for some of these concerns. I live on the section of Collier that connects Sunset with Snowden. And what I really love about the neighborhood is that there's so many people out walking dogs, riding bikes, and there's kids that play on the streets. And this is what makes our neighborhood desirable and attractive to live in. Adding another 125 plus cars down Snowden, Collier, and Sunset in order to access this property would adversely affect the safety of our neighborhood. So I asked zoning to please hear the voices of those who reside here and to approve development on the Sunset property that is consistent with the scale and character of the existing neighborhood through which it is accessed. Thank you
Very much. Thank you. Okay, would someone else like to speak? Sherry, would you like to speak for this? From the public? Okay, we have to read out loud or something sent in.
This is from Matthew Portilla, 1301 Cochran Drive. And he says, well, I'm not sure what he says at the moment.
Sure. Just let them first. Let's see.
And he said that you will likely receive a lot of opposition to the Sunset Drive project. Many of those will cite the character of the community in their opposition. The site is surrounded on three sides by medium density, 55 and over condos. A quick survey of this complex shows nearly half of the 400+ units are shuttered and presumably empty. This is the representative community that people are arguing for. It's clear townhouses with young families do not belong along Lake Osborne. We can only have half vacant condos owned by out-of-town geriatrics to reinforce the character of our community.
Okay, sir, you'd like to say?
Just make the point fine, speak on the time. As to that particular reading that she just got, number one, we have probably 250 full-time residents at Murray Hills. And right now, you're gonna find very, very few on shuttered. Okay, we have a pretty full contingent. But my original thing that I had forgotten when I first got up and mentioned zoning was at an informal meeting at the church on Sunset and 6th Ave. We went with the builder just to hear him out. And me being on the planning board up north for many years, I said to him, well, what would your view be on giving us or meeting with our lawyer and coming up with a bond for the wall? The wall has nothing to do with me. You own it, which I know Murray Hills owns it. There's no question about it. But he completely scoffed that off. So that tells me he's not really interested in the neighborhood. He's interested in the almighty buck. And as far as geriatrics, I take offense at that. Thank you for the extra time.
I understand. Would someone, yes, miss?
Karen Dares, 3260 Lake Osborne Drive. Many of the residents there are third generation. Personally, I'm second generation. My children are chomping at the bit, mind you, to get at the property because they recognize, despite their youth, what a gem it is. We love that property. It was a very insulting comment about the geriatrics. We love it. We look after each other. We love the nature associated with what is there now. We don't want the dust, the sand. It's going to come down. We don't want the snakes, the rats, everything else that's there. We like our community the way it is.
I understand. Is there someone else who'd like to speak from the public? By the way, there was this, just as a note, you can write in and Sherry will read out all of your things just for the March meeting if you'd like, just so you know that's an option for everybody because the room is a bit crowded. So if you can't make it, you could write it in and she'll make sure to read it. Okay.
So this is received from our city website for the city portal. You can go on the city website, go to our public comment side if you wish. It prints out just like this. It tells, ask for your name or address, your comment, whether you want us to read the comment or whether you'd like to read it in person. So it is available. You can also email zoning and we'll be glad to include it that way as well. We just have to receive it in a timely fashion at 5 o'clock. So the email is pzoning@lakeworth.gov. So pzoning@lakeworthfl.gov. So either way, and we'll receive your comment. If you don't want to read it yourself, or if you're out of town, he wants to read it that way.
Okay, a little off the record here. Any comments from the board?
I mean, generally speaking, I've walked around that neighborhood. I walked around your neighborhood and I thought it was adorable. I was looking at condos in there for my mother. So I personally am in favor of, you know, your community. It would be nice to keep it the way that it is. So just wanted to let you know.
Anyone else? Okay, just so everybody knows, this is a planned unit development and it'll go through the planning and zoning board and then on to the commission. Is that correct, Mr. Waters? So there is kind of a long road for this to be approved, and if you will be involved with it, just make sure to stay involved with it because there is a long path to take. Okay? So at this point, would like to make a motion to continue the date, I believe, because at this point, we will have to, I mean, March 6th would be that date. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Second. New motion.
Yeah, you need to make a motion.
Oh,
I move to continue the
PZB project.
yeah, the project to March 6th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you back on March 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We have an ordinance, item C. That is 2024-3.
Do I
Consider-
have to read the caption anyway? You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
All right, this is ordinance 2024-03, an ordinance of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending chapter 23, section 23.3-25, Plan Development District, paragraph E, Mixed Use Urban Plan Development District, providing for townhouses within the single family residential SFR zoning district as part of a residential only mixed use urban residential plan development, and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this particular item B,
Mhm.
which originally came ordinance 2024-03. I am told that it's the change is not specific to any particular property. I was told that by our Ms. Lenahan. So on the other hand, what arrived last evening with the proposal and background and analyst, it also stated SCG, which again is part of the construction company that we've been talking about. So it puts me in a very difficult position. I'm a fan of the conduct, you know, of to be correct. And so I feel again that I better recuse myself on this only because of what we received last night that included in the applicant Chris Rowley on behalf of SCG Florida. Although the change is not specific to any particular property, I need your feelings on this, Mr. Chairman.
Did you have direct contact? I mean, did you feel that there was?
Well, living in Murray Hills, there's been a lot of contacts. Yes. So originally there was no problem. As you know, when we received the original ordinance, it just was kind of generic, you know, there was nothing there.
I would defer to our attorney who best knows.
Yeah.
Let me clarify. Excuse me. So the LDR was privately initiated. However, it will impact that project, but it's on its own merits in an attempt to, you know, again, as the staff report indicates, provide flexibility. So this is going to impact other projects as well.
So yeah, it kind of leaves me, I think I would feel better to recuse myself on this, if you don't mind. Do I have to leave again? I just feel it's right. I would have had some comments if it was just under the original agenda, but because of what you said, Scott, I'll just recuse myself. Thank you.
Like you say, it should have been done first.
Stay home. See you next month.
So this is not only planning and zoning, historic preservation also has to
That's correct.
amend this as well. And then this will go to the commission after that.
Yes.
Okay, so obviously there's no contract zoning in the state of Florida. We all know that, so it has to be voted on. I understand that. So,
Is there staff presentation on this or is it?
Now, basically, it's a slide indicating that this is just being recommended by staff for approval and that it's going to provide additional flexibility in certain plan developments.
So, board discussion.
I
have some comments, so.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're at that
Yeah,
point. When it's
Good
started.
discussion.
So I looked at this and in general, I don't, from what I gather, I'm not really supportive of it. I'm supportive of, in general, I'm supportive of development. Everybody kind of knows that I think that we need more housing. And I think that as the city grows, we want to have more housing. Having it in the right areas is kind of critical. And right now, townhouses are allowed in the single family, 2-family district, right? They're not allowed in the exclusively single family district. That's a pretty specific one. With regards to this particular property, it was unclear to me why. My understanding was.
This is not related to any specific property.
I understand that it is not. Okay. So, but I can still. With regards to any property that's entering into the city, if that property wanted to do townhomes, it would make sense to me for it to enter into the city with a zoning that allows townhomes. And I think by broadly approving townhomes in those districts, we have, so for instance, within the single family district, there are some lots as you go up Lakeside that end up getting 250 feet deep. There's a couple of those lots that are already 100 feet wide that have a single house on it. That one lot is now over a half an acre and by itself could now move forward building townhomes on the golf course in a neighborhood that has been very opposed to anything coming in that would change the character of that neighborhood. And I think that doing something like this to allow some projects flexibility, but then broadly painting large single family neighborhoods, allowing the accumulation of, even in a regular situation, 3 or 4 lots. And now you could transform that single family into a townhouse. I think it makes sense in like I live in the single family, 2-family area. And in my area, we've got a lot of single family homes. We also have the accessory dwelling units. We have some apartment buildings mixed in. We have a scattering of different things. And having townhomes in those areas makes total sense. But there has been this kind of distinction between the exclusively single family neighborhoods and neighborhoods that allow that single family, 2-family. And I think that something like this really should come as part of an overall, I know there's been some discussions about there being it's time that we go through the comp plan and it may make sense to do this, but I think it's a very large change that could have a lot of trickle down effects in different neighborhoods. And I think it needs to go through a very detailed process. And in general, there are areas where I could see this affecting that I'm not supportive of. And I don't think I could vote in favor of it. So that's my point.
Any comment? Any other comments?
I have a bit of a question about the ordinance. Is the distinction that the townhouses in the single family residential zoning district be part of a planned development? Is that potentially a little bit of a buffer that would put a finer point on what Dan said, or am I missing? What does it mean that the townhouses are part of a planned development?
The concept is that this type of approach in a single family district could only happen as part of a planned development. In addition, it can only be the planned developments that allow potential density bonus of up to 25%. We have multiple types of planned developments, and we also have different distinctions based on where those are located. And unless, one thought, Mr. Oleski, I'm listening to what he was saying, you don't have to necessarily recommend it approval as it is. You could state that, the concept itself, because where it's come up sometimes before this, where we're at today, we don't allow 0 lot line homes in Lake Worth Beach. We can't do them without something like this. If you wanted to do patio homes that have lots of record that are only the footprint of the house and all the rest of it is common area, you couldn't do it. You can't do villa homes, or you couldn't do, there's a Devasta quad that looks like one house, but it actually has 4 units in it. And so the concept was to provide more creativity to get a higher density that would allow and provide a broader means to do some affordable housing. Where I'm going with this is that you could increase the minimum area for the planned development. We have a 1/2 acre for an urban plan. You could say if it's going to be in a single family district, it has to be the other two categories are 2 acres west of Dixie Highway and 5 acres west of 95. There could be permutations of that if you wanted to do or recommend something like that. And you could exclude, which I know maybe Elizabeth will have to weigh in on this. By the nature of our planned development ordinance types, certain ones are not even allowed east of Dixie Highway. So if it's, and then keep in mind too, that over 65% of the city is zoned single family residential. And so it's unless, as he described, you were to assemble properties or were able to go in, and where he's mentioned the larger lot is actually in a historic district, and that would be, oh, what a joy to be doing that one if it's in a historic district. I'll have to retire before that one. So anyway, you could put some caveats that, in concept you support it, but here are some additional things you would like staff to look into before it goes to city commission, such as a higher threshold for the minimum lot size or parcel size, or their actual locations within the city.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I have a comment. I think that there's considerable interest in this, and it's complex. I think there's all types of things that obviously can come out of it, and it is going to affect a lot of people, not only the developer, but the people that are sitting here. Is it possible, because we are going to the March 6th, could we table this until March 6th? I would like to table it so we could meet with some of the people in the community and meet maybe with the developer, or at least get ourselves a little bit more acquainted with the project, because it seems like there's a lot of overwhelming information here.
I want to make sure it's clear this is not related to a specific project.
I understand that. So I'd like to table it. Yeah.
There's 2 options there. We'll jump in again.
Okay.
It has been advertised, so it could be continued to a date certain, which will be again March 6th.
Yes.
Or you have the option to possibly continue it to a workshop, because the preservation board is going to hear the same ordinance because it affects the whole zoning code.
Right.
And we have talked about possibly having a joint meeting between the 2 boards on some other LDR items. So that's another option for this, is that you could recommend that it be tabled or continued to a workshop with an unset date, and you meet jointly with the preservation board and discuss it. So we don't hopefully come out at the other end with an ordinance that has 2 different directions.
Right. And they would have to agree on that date as well, I guess. Yes.
We would work with both boards to
With
figure
both
out
boards, right.
what that is.
All right. But I guess the vote would have to be, it would be, hopefully we do both, meet with the other board and do it on the 6th of March.
That's rather aggressive.
Right. Because if we don't do it on the 6th of March, we push it out, right? Yeah. So,
but you can go ahead and table it to a date certain March 6th. We'll work with the other board, see if we can get a date, which your joint workshops are normally the 3rd or 4th Wednesdays of the month, but we've already got a very jam-packed other obligation, so we can see. And if not, you could always table it again on March 6th.
Right.
I mean, you've got options.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, William. I appreciate it. Okay, great. So for all those in favor to table this item, have a vote.
To continue it to March 6th.
Okay. Motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue it to March 6th, or if it's possible to have an alternate committee. I'm open to the idea of a workshop as well, but I just don't know.
But you'd still be, you're continuing the public hearing to March 6th.
Right.
Perfect. Continuing the public hearing to March 6th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir, can we get to have public comment then on March?
Yes, you get to my public comment. You could also send in writing as well. So both in case you're out of town or you can't be here, if you want to collect some things from some of the residents, you can do that as well. Yes, sir.
That's a workshop. You're allowed to.
No, that is because we're voting members and it's a sunshine issue. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I think you guys need your microphones a little more.
Okay. Well, I do what I can, but yeah. Okay, I'll try to use the microphone as best I can. Oh, can't really do that. But.
Maybe we should get a Swift ball.
Yeah, right. Get it on there. All right, great. Thank you very much.
Before we close, I want to make sure to remind you all that I heard about meeting with residents and developer and whatnot. Just remember that item B on your agenda today that was continued is a quasi judicial item. So you'll need to disclose any ex parte communication you have and make sure that you remain impartial as hearing officers.
Understand. Okay. So any department reports?
No, Mr. Chair. Oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm the director, so I want to introduce that Scott Rodriguez has been named to replace Aaron Sita as our Assistant Director for Planning and Preservation. And we're very excited to have that started so that we can fill the other positions that are vacant in planning and zoning, which we seem to have a mass exodus of one sort or another. So he's the start, and then we're hopefully going to
was it the water?
I think it was possibly greener grass in other areas of the county. We'll see, but we do have some applicants we're working with to try to get those filled as soon as possible. So if you know a planner, a principal planner, a zoning technician, a senior planner, or an intern that's interested in planning, let us know. We have 4 vacancies. An update too, that on the 22nd, we will be having a update on the mobility plan, which will eventually come to you all for a presentation. But if we're not aware of it, the City Commission is getting a presentation from WGI on the mobility plan, which started last year. We're in the 2nd year of it. Also, the City Commission last night approved the funding for an open space recreation master plan, which will eventually become part of the comprehensive plan. So as with the mobility plan, there will be outreach from Shannon Moore and Associates and Nilsa Zacharias, who you are familiar with. She's our planning consultant, for your input in helping move that along. We will be moving that project along a little slower than really originally envisioned and was announced at the budget discussions, because we have no ledger services director, assistant director, and Jamie Brown was made the interim city manager. And those were the 3, including myself, directors who are going to be intimately involved in the open space recreation master plan. But we want to try to move together the data and analysis and also speaking to the public as to what their thoughts are in terms of that. It does include an overall tree survey update. And a major focus of it will be how to improve our tree canopy, not necessarily on the city's own open space. I think that's all I've got for you guys today.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So it was on the 22nd?
Yes.
This month? Yeah.
It's Monday.
This month.
Okay, I was going to send something out, and I don't know if Sherry told you. I hate tooting my own horn, but on Tuesday, I go to Tallahassee. 7 architects were picked as citizen architects, people that work with the city governments, their local city government, schools, things like that. And I was one of them. So get a prize from Florida and our lovely governor. So anyway, yeah. Okay.
Oh, I did forget one more thing. We have a lot that got backed up there's going to be an update on February 6th from Nilsa on 2 different items. One being, we are contemplating looking at doing a carbon neutrality, greenhouse gas emissions comprehensive plan element. It will be the first one in the state, if not the whole Southeast region of the United States. So that's that update of what that's going to be is going to be presented to the City Commission at February 6th on the presentations. And there'll also be a presentation on our neighborhood planning initiative, which we tried to start 4 years ago. It was put on hold for COVID and for other reasons. And that is a neighborhood specific planning effort for all the neighborhoods in the city. So stay tuned for that too.
Okay, thank you. All right. Adjourn. Thank you, Mr. Waters, for showing up.
Good job. Is that your friend?
Yeah. I don't know. I know. And if the developer. They revamp and they develop. That's big. But it's kind of odd. Yeah, I think they're leaning that way, but yes, I don't know if I consolidated and then.